This episode is brought to you by Carvana. Carvana is in the business of driving you happy. And with the widest selection of used cars under $20,000, you're bound to find a car that'll put a smile on your face. They even offer customizable financing so you can plan your down and monthly payments. To shop thousands of affordable vehicles 100% online, download the app or visit Carvana.com. Availability may vary by market.
Our Facebook group that I guess there's a psychic in England that draws pictures of your soulmate.
Oh, I've seen that.
Oh. So we've had a couple worsties that have ordered photos and have posted the portraits of their soulmates.
Oh my God.
On Facebook. Dude. It is so fantastic. I actually love it. I love it so much. So
you know what? I love a good. I gotta respect a good scam. I really do, because that is some scam bullshit right there. Where she's like, "Look, you want to see what he looks like? I'll draw him for you." Like, what an amazing idea!
Yeah, and I mean, if you're taking it all in good fun or whatever, I don't have a problem with psychics or astrologers or anything like that. If you're I don't like that people like make fun of, like, look down on astrology or psychics or tarot cards or anything like that. Like, if you're doing it for fun, whatever.
Right.
Like, but if you're like Miss Cleo and taking advantage of people, I disagree with that. But so she did it for fun, but it actually looks like she lives in Florida. And Cass, did you see? I guess it looks like one of the newscasters.
Yes.
We think
somebody
we found
posted
him.
a picture. We found him.
Yeah.
We found her guy.
Well, I think we need to start a letter writing campaign immediately.
They've got to go on a
like,
date.
Fuck.
Yeah.
We're like, sorry, you can't get in the way of the stars. It's written in the stars. It must happen. Sorry, wife.
There's a colored pencil sketch of you from England that says otherwise.
It must be real. It must be love.
The art kit that she's using too. To me.
Yes.
Just shading with the side of the pencil.
Oh my God.
Oh my gosh. So to get us through this, week between Christmas and New Year's when we go back to work, Anthony and I have been watching the Star Wars movies in chronological order.
Uh-huh.
So we just finished watching episode 3. Yeah. So we watched episodes 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Wow. First of all, can I just say, really forgot how bad that first one is. Like, it's really, really bad.
Real bad.
And I forgot how bad Jar Jar Binks is.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Like, it's like almost offensive, right?
Well, there's several things in the first one that are borderline offensive. Like, some of the accent choices, I was like, I don't know about this. But speaking of that,
you made a decision here and it was not wise.
Speaking of that, I was telling my brother that we were watching the Star Wars movies, and he sent me a Reddit where it was basically this guy saying that his girlfriend would not stop speaking in Gungan.
No.
All of the time. So it's in the relationship advice subreddit.
Oh,
and
my God.
Gungan, for people who don't know, if you've ever seen the first episode of Star Wars, it's the accent that Jar Jar Binks uses.
No.
We're done. We're done.
I know. Okay, so I'm not going to read this whole thing because it's way too long. But basically, she started doing it. She did it in front of his boss.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Oh, no.
She did it in front of his family members, and she did it when he was about to propose.
No.
Oh, let me just read. Let me just read this paragraph.
Oh, no.
We have talked about getting married, and I had been wanting to propose for a while before the Gungan speak started. But with COVID, it kind of ruined my plans. July came and I figured I should stop delaying and decided I would do it. We went for a hike together and I started my speech about how I loved her and she made me happy and everything. Asked her what she would think about us taking the next step. She just said, "Okie day."
No.
Dude,
No.
I get it. It has been a tough time, and we've all had our little breaks in reality, and we do things. And I'm all for finding your bliss or finding your joy, but
no,
my
it's so bad.
goodness.
So he ended up not proposing to her, and they ended up having like a really big argument about it because they were talking on Zoom, I guess, to his parents about like whether or not they were going to come home for Christmas, and she said, "'Tis demanded by the gods it is." And then they had a big blow up fight. He was like, "You have to stop doing this." And she said that it's just part of who she is, basically. Like it's part of my personality, so you just have to deal with it.
No,
This-
you don't
this
have
voice
to
is
do
my
anything,
personality.
and that would be
No.
a deal breaker for me. I'd be like,
Me
why?
too, thank
she just
you.
randomly started doing it. It's like,
No.
that's
I guess like
strange.
she was already a big Star Wars fan. So she was already a
Okay.
big Star Wars fan, and then it was something about the pandemic that just like broke her open, like something about like being in quarantine.
Oh.
They started
Her spirit
watching
broke.
Yeah, they started watching the Star Wars movies.
Oh no.
Keegan, be careful. If this shit happens
Oh,
to
no.
you, I'm sorry. We will have no Gungan on my worst date.
What if
No.
I spoke
No.
only Gungan
No.
on this podcast?
Oh no.
Dude, what if
No,
she's doing
because-
it during sex?
Oh,
Oh.
no.
Sir.
And thank you for validating me, because that's what I like, because I was having this conversation with Anthony, and he was like, "Well, what would you do?" And I was like, "You can't live with that your whole life. Like, you can't take her places and have her like behave that way to your boss." By the way, he's in the military, and it was like his superior.
Oh my god.
She called him a bomb-bad general.
Oh my.
And so I was like, "No, like you can't live your whole life like this."
No.
And
What do
Anthony
you
was like,
do?
"Not even if you love someone." And I'm like, "No,
Okay.
how?"
This is a great. I am so glad you brought this up because I want to marinate on this. Like, what do you do? Like, okay, you're dating somebody, and like all of a sudden they develop this quirk, this thing. I mean, oh my god, and you're in
and
love
that
with
they
them?
don't think is a problem. Like that's the
Right.
thing, because look, we all have weird coping mechanisms, and if this was something that she developed to try and like cope with the stress of 2020, like we get it. It was a stressful year.
Kind of better than a drinking problem.
Sure, better than a lot of things, really.
Yeah.
Like it could be worse, but the problem is that it doesn't seem to bother her that it bothers her significant other
Right.
at all,
Which it's
is
obvious
an
it does.
issue. Yeah, they've talked about it. They've had conversations about it, So to me, that's an issue that she doesn't seem to be taking into account his feelings at all.
Mm-hmm.
And if she doesn't think it's a problem, you have to decide if this is something that you can live with for the rest of your life.
Right.
Potentially. Like, maybe not. Maybe she'll snap
Yeah.
out of it at some point. But, like,
But it's part of your personality trait now? Like that's who you are, is somebody who speaks this way? Like
Why would you make
What?
that choice? Yeah, it's just it's so I think you hit the nail on the head, Keegan, is that like it obviously bothers him, and not that I'm a fan of like, oh, you should change because a personality trait you have bothers your partner, but like it's so weird. Talking like Gungan is who you are now? Like what?
I don't know. I feel like there's I'm like, I think you might need to go to therapy.
yes, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Yeah, what a conundrum. I don't envy him being in that position. Yikes.
Yikes. Well, people are doing a lot of weird coping things in quarantine. I shared that thing on the shorty before we had to stop and redo it about the guy who thought he got salmonella because raw chicken accidentally touched his penis while he was
because he was just cooking pantless in his own home for some reason.
In quotes.
Listen, it happens, you guys. He was definitely not fucking the chicken. He definitely just oopsie spilled some shit on his pants, took all his pants off, and just decided to
and
finish
his
cooking.
underwear.
And his underwear.
Yeah. Just, it's oops a daisy.
Here's the other part is I'm like, okay, you're in your house. You could go put pants on. And I could maybe see the argument. It's like, okay, you're cooking something really time sensitive. You spilled something on your pants. Like, just take them off so that you don't burn whatever you're cooking. But the chicken wasn't even cooking yet. It was raw.
Mm-hmm. You fucked raw chicken, bro.
Yeah, he did. He did. He definitely put his dick in between two chicken breasts.
What a terrible idea.
That is awful.
What a terrible idea. Like, why?
Oh.
Why?
Yeah, like food, you gotta, it's a lonely time. It is a lonely, crazy time. We're all doing, strange things, but stay away from the food stuffs with your
I mean, I feel like there are sex
things.
Toys. Yeah, like
they make things that for this. You don't have to use chicken breast.
You know what?
It really has put me off chicken for a while, honestly.
I really feel like you don't have to use chicken breast should just be on a shirt. Like, you don't have to. Yeah, it's so bizarre. I do kind of want to know. This isn't something I've spent a lot of time thinking about, shockingly. But I do kind of want to know, like, what's the weirdest things that dudes have stuck their dick in? Because surely
I'm sure, and I'm sure vice versa, there are candles, broomstick handles, lots hairbrushes, like, I mean,
Cassie looks so upset.
Oh my God. I'm just thinking about, like, if you have a teenage daughter and she has a hairbrush in her room, you don't touch that shit.
Teenagers are, experimental, and it's not like they have the money or whatever to go and get a fleshlight or a dildo or whatever. So, just wash those chicken breasts before you make them, or the cucumbers.
No.
Before you make the salad.
You guys, you have to
I swear to God, if you serve that chicken breast,
you have to steer clear of chicken breast, just period. Like, look, you can do some weird stuff, okay? Who am I to judge?
Yeah.
Except if it's raw meat. Like,
God damn.
We really got to steer clear for your own safety.
Imagine how his Thanksgiving was.
Oh,
this guy now possibly has salmonella.
Yeah, it hurts to pee. Yeah.
And he's going to go to some poor ER doctor and have to explain this situation.
That a chicken breast fell off the counter and touched his penis.
Dude,
okay.
I'm sorry, but if you went into an ER right now in these trying times, TM, with that
in the
fucking
middle of
story,
a pandemic,
you deserve to get slapped in the face by the ER doctor. Be like, now is not the time to be fucking raw chicken, son.
Son.
Oh God, it's terrible. God. I mean, if anyone has stories that they want to share about weird things that they know, that
send them to Keegan.
Oh, I will read them. I'll read the things lost up the vagina stories. I will read
there's things up butts for sure.
Oh, for sure.
People put lots of things in their butt. Girl and
I think
guy.
probably especially during these trying times, TM.
Yeah. There's tons of stuff in butts.
I mean, I feel like you grow up and you learn, hey, there's a sex toy for that. You don't have to do this.
Yeah. Yeah.
In fact, you can get most of that shit online.
Yeah, you don't even have to see somebody in person. There's discreet packaging available, so it doesn't just say,
Fleshlight
on the fucking box.
Could you imagine?
You're living at home. Your mom's like, package for you.
Oh, God.
What is Fleshlight?
This is one of the many reasons. Actually, this is like in my top 5 of like I've avoided having children. Is just imagining if you have kids, one day you have a teenager, and I just,
I always think of that scene in Bridesmaids. Oh gosh, what's that actress's name? I can't remember, but she's talking about all of her teenage sons, and she's like, I broke a towel in half.
Yes.
Oh no. Oh no.
no. Oh my God.
Disgusting.
Well, this is my worst date, guys. Welcome. Welcome to 2021. I'm Cassie.
I'm Keegan.
I'm Christina.
Oh my God. I really feel like these last few weeks, things have just gone off the rails. Like the loneliness has set in because we're not seeing each other. And so my interactions with other human beings are so weird at this point.
Right.
You're only speaking in Jar Jar Binks language.
Yes. Just Gungan all the time. All Gungan all the time.
No holds barred. Oh my gosh. That makes me think, well, first of all, we have 2 new patrons. So I do want to give those guys a shout out. Thank you guys so much. What a fantastic Christmas / New Year's / almost my birthday present.
Yes. So we want to give a shout out to Marissa Hutchinson. Welcome to our Patreon family. And Dana Inskeep, who has been with us for quite a while. I think she's in our Facebook group. She's been interacting with us for a long time. She's lovely and wonderful, and we love having you around. So Marissa and Dana, welcome. Hi. Hey there. Hello.
Hey. So you've been watching Star Wars.
Yes, ma'am.
We watched all of the Marvel movies, like in order, in chronological, just because there's like 59 of them.
You had the
It gave us
time.
something to do. What else are we doing? But then we also watched like the Lord of the Rings ones, which is also
Oh yeah. I
the
rewatched Lord of the Rings, all 3 of them, early in the pandemic. Yeah.
But it made me think of like, if we fuck, marry, kill, we should fuck, marry, kill, like series, like of movies, like
Or
Harry
binges.
Harry Potter. Like, what are some bingeable series?
I binged all of the Bourne movies.
Oh, good one.
I binged all the Da Vinci Code series.
Oh Lord, Twilight.
Okay, we don't talk about that, Keegan. It's a new year. It's a new year. We leave that in 2020. Okay.
We'll never bring it up again.
Never bring that up again. I skipped one, so technically I didn't binge them all.
Okay, there you go.
Fair.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, those were the 2 series. And then, of course, anything Mission Impossible, I will watch and rewatch 1,000 times over.
There you go. Okay, so you pick one. Pick one.
Okay. I'm going to do the Bourne Identity, or the Bourne series.
Yeah.
That was a good revisit.
I'm like,
oh, God, so was the Da Vinci Code one, too. That was great. I forgot. No, I'm going to go Bourne.
okay.
Okay, sorry.
Well, I'm watching Star Wars, so let's just do that. Why not?
Go in with the Star Wars. I think I'm going to go off of the last one that I watched was just Lord of the Rings. So that was my last marathon.
Who do I kill?
So many options.
Fuck, marry, kill, Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, Bourne.
Okay. I know what I'm going to do. I got this.
All right.
Okay, go for it.
I'm going to marry Bourne because that one to me, I love the action. I love adventure. I love it's action T to B. So, and he fucking like whoops somebody's ass with a newspaper. So
Wait, but hold on. I have to say, Bourne, you've got Matt Damon, but you also have Jeremy Renner. He's in like 2 of them,
I
isn't he?
didn't watch that version because I don't feel it as part of the original lexicon.
It's not canon.
It's not canon for me. So.
Okay. So are we going to eliminate him because that does change things for me? Because
I'm
Jeremy
eliminating
Renner
him.
is annoying.
I
It's
didn't
terrible.
even, like
I didn't
consider
watch
the
it.
Jeremy Renner aspect.
I
I was
didn't.
literally all
right.
just Matt
Excellent.
Damon.
Excellent. Yeah. Okay.
So
I've
Same.
heard his music in Jeep commercials, and it's not good.
Jesus.
It's really not
No,
good.
it's-
So
Wow. I am. Woof. Okay, we got Star Wars and we have Lord of the Rings. I think that Lord of the Rings is more fuckable. However, I hate Lord of the Rings, and so I am going to fuck Star Wars.
Okay.
And I am going to kill Lord of the Rings. I will tell you that Chris and I, one of our very first dates was seeing the Lord of the Rings movie, the final one. This was like when we were early in our dating, and I had to leave like at the third ending.
Yeah.
I was like, it's over. No, it's
I
still
will say
fucking going.
that movie, the way it is set up, they really do fake you out like several times. Like you
yeah.
do think it's over.
Yeah,
a couple
by
of
the time we
times.
got to that, because we were watching the extended shit. I mean, it was like
Whoa.
a 13-hour
Christina,
Do you
why?
hate
experience.
yourself?
What else am I doing? What, am I going to go to a
True.
bar? Am I going to...
What are you going to go to college?
Yeah, no. I have nothing. No, the second one is the only one that I actually like really enjoy. The second one is like all the action.
Two
and
Towers has
everything
all
like
the
that.
action. You get a lot of Legolas in that one.
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah. He was who I was in it for.
Not
you know, surprisingly.
I was in it for Aragorn.
Oh. This
Yeah,
is...
see, it's completely fuckable, but I just can't. I can't.
Well, I mean, I've got it, I think, worked out to like a personality. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Born Identity is your fuck boy. He's gonna show
Yes.
up once in a while, and he's fucking exciting, and the date is gonna be incredible. You will never hear from him on a regular basis. He's not going to be emotionally supportive at all. Don't tell him your feelings ever. He does not want to
But
hear
he
them.
does love that chick face, and they do end up. He tries to like have a like completely off, till they kill her. I mean,
Yeah, no.
And then he's like, "Fuck y'all," and I feel like that's the kind of guy I want. I want if somebody kills me, I want you to have all the revenge in all of the world, the wrath.
Lord, now Star Wars is the one that is still in the parents' basement. He's 32. He's
You're
an entrepreneur.
right.
He's got ideas.
He's got ideas.
Half-finished novel. He's,
He does.
he does.
He has D&D friends.
Exactly.
Like I know where this is going, and here's the thing. I actually really enjoy Star Wars. Like, yes, episodes 1, 2, and 3 they're
Trash.
hard to watch. But I like Star Wars. I enjoy it. I like having it on. I look forward every Christmas to when a new one comes out and I get to go see it. I enjoy it, but you are absolutely right.
Yeah.
You
And-
are absolutely right.
Lord of the Rings, I feel like is that's a tough one to put a personality on that's uniquely different from Star Wars, but it is.
Yeah.
It's more
very
mature.
different.
It
It's-
is more mature than Star Wars.
It's somebody that is like constantly binging like submarine documentaries. I feel
Yes.
like.
World War II
Yes.
docs.
Yeah.
He has patches on his elbow.
Mm-hmm. And he's
Yeah.
kind of mansplaining. I feel like Lord of the Rings is super mansplaining, and he will actually you a lot.
Actually, you.
Yeah,
Oh.
I see a lot of leather
see-
furniture.
an accountant,
And-
Yes.
and or
Mhm.
like somebody in a very like office job.
He smokes a pipe, even though he probably really doesn't enjoy it.
And you're like, for why? Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Yes.
when I break it down like that for fuck, marry, kill, first of all, it's impossible. It's so hard.
Mhm.
It's really hard. I'm like, I think I've gotta fuck Bourne. That's gonna be exciting. That's gonna be like,
Yeah.
oh my god,
It
gonna
is,
be
and it is
in the
I
elevator
agree.
on the way up to the penthouse,
Mhm.
like, like,
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. Like, it might be a thing where you could potentially have like one great night, even one great, really good conversation,
mhm.
but it would never work Like, it would implode the second the two of you decided, like, we're going to be for real.
Yeah, that's why that chick's dead. Yeah. Because it wouldn't work long term. It's perfect. She dead. It's done. So yeah, fucking him for one night. And then if my choice, I don't like being condescended to. I don't like being actually. So even though I know I'm going to have to go see a bad improv show, because for sure Star Wars is in an improv troupe. Like,
yes,
I'm going to marry him and just hope that he grows out of it.
Yeah.
Well, if he marries you, he won't be living in his parents' basement
Yeah,
anymore.
that's true.
You'll just be living off of you playing a PS5 all day. Like,
God damn it, I'm going to have to buy the new PlayStation now.
oh God, no. This is impossible. Because here's the thing. I don't want to marry Star Wars. I really don't want to. But I feel like Lord of the Rings is more set in his ways. There's no changing that man.
I think Star
That's
Wars,
true.
though, when you fuck Star Wars, they have some kinky shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're fetishy. Lord of the Rings is going to be a little bit vanilla. So I'm like, at least it'll be kind of interesting.
Yeah, there's probably costumes involved.
You're going to dress up as Princess Leia so much.
Oh,
Yeah.
I know.
Oh, yeah.
Slave Leia.
And you know what? I'm okay with it, actually. That part I'm fine with. You know what? I know it's a bad decision. I know it's a bad decision. I know I said I was going to leave. Bad decisions in 2020.
Yeah, right.
Well,
Me too.
here we are. I know it's a mistake, and I know it will probably get me killed, but I'm going to marry Bourne because at least it will be fun while it lasts. It's going to burn hot and fast.
Yep.
And then we're probably going to get divorced.
That is the Pete Davidson of movies.
Stop it.
And you know what? I have no regrets.
It's just given the other two options. And I actually
right.
don't hate Lord of the Rings. I don't. I rewatched them. I don't hate them at all. They're a little long. They're a little pretentious. But I don't hate them. But
They
as
could edit
people,
out an hour, a legit hour
of each one.
of
Every movie.
Frodo and Sam staring at each other.
Oh my God.
Oy.
Yes. It's a lot. We get it. You guys are bros. We get it. Wow.
Just
So
so.
question.
Okay, I saw that bed scene and when they were jumping on the bed. You guys,
why?
honestly, 3 hours of them jumping on the bed that didn't need to be
Why?
there.
There's so
Just
much
when you
stuff.
thought that movie was over.
There's so much stuff that you're
damn.
like, this could have been B-roll. You're like,
Yeah.
I don't understand. Like, that's Peter Jackson not being able to let anything go, you know? There's much that could have been edited out. I agree. But I actually don't hate Lord of the Rings. I don't hate any of these series. But when it comes down to it, I'm going to make the mistake of getting married to Bourne and either die or end up getting divorced in some horrible way. And then I'm going to fuck Lord of the Rings. It's like we said, yeah, he's in his mom's basement, probably on a mattress on the floor, but the sex is going to be good, weirdly. And you're not going to be able to explain why.
And he's going to have like weird satin sheets. He's not going to be like the I don't have sheets guy. He's going to have sheets.
Oh, there's
They're just going to be
sheets.
like satin.
Yeah.
Red.
Yeah.
Red satin.
I've done that before, like thinking that was a good idea. It's not a
Sweaty.
good idea. It's not
I feel like it's
comfortable.
sweaty.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't love it.
Oh, no.
I also could see if you're in Star Wars'
Does he have a water bed?
parents' house. Please God, no. I need lumbar support, and I feel like that doesn't offer enough of it. But I do feel like if you're in Star Wars' parents' house, it's going to be like a surprise when you turn the lights off and there are those like sticky stars stuck to the ceiling.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes.
But you know
Or
what?
he's such a nerd that everything's Alexa related. So he's got like those string lights of Alexa lights.
Yeah,
It's like,
you know
Alexa,
what?
turn on mood lighting.
It's going to be weird. But you know what? Like, I feel like he could be a fuck buddy. Like, I feel like Star Wars could be someone who's like I'm not going to marry you, but you're actually kind of fun to be around. Like,
There you go.
And yeah, I have to kill Lord of the Rings, not because I don't like Lord of the Rings, but just because that personality is altogether too serious.
They're LARPers.
but like
Hundo.
really like aggressive about it. You know what I mean? Like I feel like they take it really seriously. They're that one person at the LARP who really thinks they're in a fucking like
Yes. And they judge everyone's costumes based on like time period. They're like, actually, that is more like a Renaissance piece. And that sack back is just not going to work for the time period that we're in. I actually am looking for something more, you know, you're kind of going more medieval versus Ren. And I don't know.
Exactly.
As they push their glasses up.
Yeah, I completely agree. They're going to judge you for not having read any of J.R.R. Tolkien's other work. You know, it's...
However, the Tolkien movie about Tolkien, really fucking good.
Oh, surprising. Nicholas Hoult, I think.
High recommend.
Great.
I like him. I think he's
actually
cute.
thoroughly enjoyed it.
I think
I thought it was great.
It's on our list to watch. So, oh my gosh. There's so many. I'm like, how am I not through watching everything yet? I feel like that's all I do.
Because there's so much content. There is so much content. It is impossible.
I opened up Netflix the other day and it just said the end. And I was like, wait, what?
Finn.
Finn. Exactly.
Well, you guys want to take 5 and we'll come back with stories?
Yes.
Sounds good.
And we're back. All right. So I will kick us off with stories. This one is something. Okay.
It's something.
About 2 months before COVID put us all in lockdown, I went through a terrible breakup. We had been together for 4 years, had 2 dogs together, and hopes of getting married, etc. Things just didn't work out between us, and I was heartbroken. I allowed a month of wallowing in sweatpants. Little did I know how much more of that there was to be had in 2020.
Oh, no.
Oh, girl.
I know she spent a whole... I would look back on that and just be like, God damn, you could have lived for that 1 month. Before deciding the only way to get through it was to get back out there and start dating again. I dusted off the old apps, and it wasn't too long before I matched with an attractive guy on Twitter named Josh. We chatted a bit, and while he was a little boring, he seemed okay. Good enough for a rebound date, anyway.
Yep.
We agreed to meet up at a local bar that weekend. I had no less than 3 meltdowns before the date, probably a sign that I wasn't ready to get back out there, but I was determined.
Dude, everybody's got their timeline. Like, for me, I went on a date, like, the week it happened. You know what I mean? Like, everybody's got their healing process and stuff, so...
Yeah.
That would be me too, though, Christina. I 100% see that being me, who's just like, I need to jump out there, test the scene. It's been a while.
Right.
I don't know what I would
see
do.
what's up.
I don't know what I would do. I've never dated, really, so I don't even think I would know how.
That's how I felt.
You know.
Same.
After reapplying the mascara I had cried off for the second time and downing my third glass of wine, my third glass of getting ready wine, we all know what that is.
Yep.
I called the Uber and set out. When I got there, my date had not yet arrived, so I took a seat and ordered another glass of wine. Another 20 minutes go by and still no date. I was just starting to feel the anxiety ball up in my throat when I felt a tap on my shoulder. I turned around to see my date, ? He looked like him, kind of. Now, when I say that, I don't mean it the way most people hear it. I know that people lie or exaggerate online, post old pictures or pictures that are just way more flattering than they appear in real life. That wasn't the case here. This guy was good looking and young. Nothing was wrong with him. Something just seemed a little off. But hey, I was pretty drunk at this point, having not eaten anything all day and having downed 4.5 glasses of wine, and it was dark in the bar, so I figured maybe I'm just not remembering right.
Yep. Okay.
Josh sat down and we started chatting. We actually hit it off okay. I ordered some potato skins and was starting to get my bearings. We stayed at the bar for the next 2 hours talking, and I was beginning to think I could actually really like this guy. When we left the bar, Josh stood with me while I waited for my Uber. I mustered all of my courage and asked if we could see each other again. His face immediately went red. I wanted to melt into the sidewalk. He didn't like me after all. I felt like such a fucking idiot. He must have sensed what I was thinking because he immediately said, No, it's not that. I don't want... It's not that I don't want to see you again. It's just that he trailed off and looked at his feet. When I pushed for an answer, he said, well, it's just that I'm not Josh.
Oh!
Excuse me, what? I couldn't believe it. I had just been on a date with a fucking stranger. He explained that Josh was his brother. The two looked a lot alike and were bored and wanted to see if they could pull off a Tinder switcheroo, like a fucking 90s rom-com.
Oh my God.
God. Please tell me they're married now.
Only
way this can end.
I cannot tell you how bad I wanted to kick this asshole in the shins. I couldn't find the words. He was trying desperately at this point to tell me how much he actually liked me and wanted to see me again and how sorry he was for lying, but if he had only known how cool I was, blah, blah, blah. Right around then, my Uber pulled up. I got in without saying a word. When I got home, I had a good angry cry and blocked Josh on Tinder before going to bed. A few days later, a guy named Mark sent me a DM on Instagram. It was the guy I went on the date with. He apologized again and asked me out for real this time. I never responded. To this day, I wonder what could have been. We really did hit it off, but I was just too fragile for that kind of deception. After that, after the lockdown started, after that, lockdown started, and I haven't dated since. This was my one and only date of 2020.
Oh my God.
Girl, you gotta guard your heart.
Honey.
I get it.
But that's
could have
the
been
thing.
a rom-com ending, but you gotta guard your heart.
I mean, it still could be, and never say never, but like that's the risk you take whenever you decide to lie to somebody like that.
Well, and also it's just like people are on Tinder for lots of different reasons, and it sucks when there are people on there for nefarious reasons or joking stuff because people's fucking feelings and emotions are mixed up in it. So it's just not a Tinder switcheroo is not cool. I'm gonna say that.
No.
I don't like that. Me
neither.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. This isn't a rom-com, sir. It's not. This has not been directed by Martin Scorsese. Well, no, that's not a good director for this anyway.
Gary Marshall or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Also,
exactly.
like, super bold. Like, they're not even twins. It's not like they're, like, identical twins who were like, let's see if we can make this work. It's like two brothers who just look alike. Like, that's not enough.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it was in this instance, but...
I mean, that sucks. Also, right back to us next year. Tell
let us know.
What this is now, because I feel like, I don't know.
You're like, it's not over.
It's not over
Cassie,
yet.
you are
This
so
is a
funny
rom-com.
because out of all of us, I think that you are the most hopeless romantic.
Oh.
You really are.
How fucking dare you?
You are.
Wow.
You have the softest heart.
I'm out of here, guys. How fucking dare you?
You believe in love more than
How
we do.
dare you?
You're like, but
My story
it might
comes
work
from
out.
Reddit. That's enough. All right. My story does come from Reddit. It says a few summers ago, I was back into the crazy world of OkCupid. I had some lovely conversations with some cool guys, but this one fellow really stuck out. He seemed sweet, intelligent, like he was actually had his shit together. I was so wrong. So after a couple of weeks of chatting, we finally set up a time set a time for a middle of the day date. As I am pretty cautious about online dating, I let him call the shots, and I was excited about the hints of plans he was telling me. Turns out those hints of plans were him trying to figure out a way to spend no money. Side note, we had already discussed paying for ourselves beforehand, as this was more of a get to know you situation. Regardless, I still thought a lunch was going to happen. Paying for myself, no problem. Nope. Dude literally brought water bottles from the trunk of his car.
No.
In summer to avoid getting a soda or stopping anywhere to eat or drink again. Midsummer, guys. Here's some bottled water from my trunk.
Where are they?
You're welcome. I don't know, but she does explain humidity later. So obviously I would say somewhere hot and humid.
No. And you know that water is just like,
Yeah.
Also,
warm.
so we need to
Can I tell you
talk
where I imagine this state being is actually like, in my mind, this happens in St. Augustine, Florida.
Oh,
So if that
gross.
Put your have you never been? I love
No,
St.
no, no,
Augustine.
no, not gross.
No,
Sorry, I just insulted everybody from St. Augustine.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
I
It's
love
not
St.
the
Augustine.
place. It's the humidity.
Heat.
I know what that feels
At
like. That
summer.
like oppressive, thick
Can't
air.
breathe.
Yeah,
Heavy.
like oh no, like I don't want to do anything outside in the summer. Like in that.
Here is why in my mind it took place in St. Augustine. He took me to a main street of a decently historic town where he walked and walked and walked. Normally, I love these dates, but again, it's super hot and very humid. Also, it's not easy getting to know someone when all they want to do is look at antiques and talk about their ex.
Oh, whoa.
I suggested multiple times we stop for food, a cold beverage, as I was starting to get uncomfortably warm. I was thoroughly shot down. Cool.
You know what? How about I eat and you watch me eat?
Okay.
Okay?
Thank
Because
you.
we're paying for ourselves anyway, so I'm going to go get a taco. You can keep talking about whatever the fuck.
Right.
yeah.
Your ex.
Which I know we're
your
not
ex
like
has to eat a lot.
a dating advice podcast, but that's just like, look, I just want to throw it out there. Your ex is not good first date material. You know what I mean?
Never.
No.
It's just not.
Also, you know what? I also want to reiterate, I'm sure we've said it before on this podcast, you're allowed to just leave. You don't fucking owe this
Yes.
guy anything. You don't know him.
That's right.
And he's not offering you anything. There's no reason why you can't just be like, you know what? I'm going to go.
I think that there is a little hopeless romantic in every one of us that's like, you know what? This little thing may not be, and if it's not like a huge red flag, I mean, it's not like he's like trying to beat up people or like.
It just sounds like a
not
really
tipping
bad
or-
time. And,
Yeah,
you
it's
know,
not enjoyable, but it's not necessarily dangerous, right?
Yeah.
So I think you're just kind of like at this point, you're like, let's just we'll write it out.
Mm-hmm.
We finally leave that place, and stupid me, I agree to get into his car as he says he has a surprise for our next quote activity. In hindsight, that was incredibly dumb of me. He pulls up to a cemetery. I am beyond weirded out at this point. Since he refused to really talk or put any music while we were in the car, just a quiet, awkward ride.
No, that's weird. That's really weird.
So weird. Anyway, we get to the cemetery to search for his friend who has been dead for 7 years.
I'm sorry.
Apparently, this guy has never been to see his buddy before and decided that this was the perfect chance to roam the hills in 95-degree heat.
What is wrong with
on
him?
a first date? After being a decent sport about the whole thing, I asked him to drive me back to my car in silence. As soon as I got home, I blocked him on everything. That so far has been the worst date of my life. I know it wasn't creepy, but the lack of awareness this dude had was astounding.
Did she just say, I know it wasn't creepy?
Yes.
It is
That's
Man,
creepy.
it's
It's creepy as
extremely, it's extremely creepy. It's that's not normal. Like it's just, what kind of person is like, this seems appropriate?
Yeah. Let's go take a drive to a cemetery
On a first date.
and find my dead friend.
Who I haven't ever come to his gravesite.
That
So I'm going
is
to be processing that trauma with a
very
stranger.
bizarre. That's
Oh.
very bizarre. How do you think up that idea when you're like, oh, I have a date coming up and I need to think of free activities? Even if
Here's an
I had
activity.
that wouldn't even come up. That wouldn't be an idea. That's that's dangerous. Girl, you in danger.
And she's like, block.
No music in the car. No talking in the car.
Oh, I hate that. That to me is almost a red flag. Like, that's weird.
Oh, it is a red flag. It's solidly a red flag. No.
Are you ready to ramp your anxiety to an 11?
Oh, God.
no. I did take my meds today, so.
Okay. We went out to a nice restaurant that she liked for a second date. We had a nice dinner. Everything was good. Check came. I paid with my debit card. It was declined. Apparently, there's
no.
issue with my direct deposit and a fair amount of money didn't get into my bank, which I had not noticed. Okay, so here's my credit card that I carry just in case.
No.
Where's my credit card? I had just went on a trip and cleaned out my wallet. Credit card was sitting on the desk at home.
Oh, no.
Checkbook, that's at home too. Cash? Who the hell carries cash?
Same.
After sheepishly explaining the situation and promising to pay her back ASAP, she paid. Walked out to the car and found no car.
No. His car got towed. Oh, no.
Oh, no.
After calling
This
around,
is my worst nightmare.
Oh, my God. What?
I discovered the car was towed. Took a cab to the towing yard. No money, so she had to pay for the cab.
Oh, no.
Got into an argument with the tow truck guys who refused to release my car even though it was parked properly, and we had restaurant receipts to prove it. $125. She paid.
Oh, no.
Stop it.
Girl.
So he says that's the worst date ever for me, but interesting post-date tidbits. Okay. 1, she was a trooper and we're married now.
Obviously. Oh, okay.
So 2, I always now carry 3 ways to pay because that just isn't happening again. 3, we ended up buying a house in the town where the tow truck company is. And 4, the tow truck company mysteriously burned down one night.
Oh,
That, wow.
He
that
says,
took
"I had nothing
that took
to
a
do
hard
with it."
left.
Wow.
Wow.
Weird to bring up if you have nothing to do with it.
Yeah, it's so funny. There's a comment under it that's like, I don't know how to tell you this, but your wife is an arsonist.
Oh,
But
God
yeah,
damn.
I'm like, that is literally the most anxiety. I'm
The
like,
worst.
she drops like a few $100 that night, and you're like on a
Dude.
second date, and obviously
He
like,
would-
there's a connection. He's just like,
He'd have to pay her back in interest, honestly.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like,
Well, I think obviously it was all in earnest, but that is something that could have gone real south.
yes,
he-
it really could have.
He also mentioned in a later comment that he was like sure that he had blown it with her because one of the things that she complained about for online dating is how many guys had forgotten their wallets.
Oh,
Like, was a thing with her.
my
So he was
God.
convinced that so
shit.
he like paid her back immediately and
Yeah.
whatever, but he was pretty sure he like
Yeah,
lost his
because
chance with her.
imagine, Christina, if you had been
Yeah.
dating and that happened to you. Do you know how fast Cassie and I would be like, get
Hell
your
no.
money and block that motherfucker. Never talk to him again. Like,
Yes. Because you know what, girl? That's what friends are for.
That's right. Okay, so for the Crazy in Love this week, I really wanted
I'm
to.
excited.
Oh, good. I really wanted to do something that was kind of like fun. Fun feels like the wrong word, but you know, like. Look, life is hard. It is so hard right now. And I didn't want to do anything that was going to like plunge us into the depths of deep, deep depression. So the other thing I thought about doing was like, oh, we should really talk about, you know, Camilla, Charles, Diana triangle, and
Yes.
then all of the conspiracies surrounding Diana. But I feel like kind of everybody is doing something like that right now. Like even Dateline put out a Life and Death of Diana episode. So I was like, let's
It's V popular right now.
yeah, let's steer away. Let's give the listeners something else. So I went over to the super handy Murder by Gaslight and spent some time on there searching for stories to do and came up with a pretty good one. So
Nice.
buckle up. Maria Bickford was born Mary Ann Dunn in Bath, Maine. And in her teens, she moved with her family to Bangor, Maine. And there she met and at the age of 16 married James Bickford, who was a shoemaker. So the first few years of their marriage seems pretty happy. But then 3 years in 1842, I just picture it so modern-esque where like In 1842, Maria's girlfriends were like, hey, girl, hey, let's go on a girls' trip to Boston. Let's go let our freak flag fly, which I feel like was kind of an unusual thing to do. Like 1842, a group of women are like, we're going to go on an all-girls trip to the big city.
Yeah, that is,
You know?
literally, I don't know why I would never think of something like that happening
Me
in
neither.
that time period.
Mm-hmm.
But the more
And her-
stories that we read about, like in the past, whenever we do them, I'm like, have always been people.
Yep, always
Yeah.
been.
People in.
And her husband, James, surprisingly to me, was just like, all right, go have fun, you know? So Maria, who was 19 at this point, was super down for this girls' trip. And so the ladies all set off together. Now, Maria...
I love this.
I
love
fucking
this.
love it too. Yeah,
So much.
Somebody needs to make this
Girls,
rom-com.
when do we go on our girl trip?
Ugh.
Only if
When
we
the
could do it
s-
1842 style, like share a carriage.
Bloomers, bonnets. So Maria gets to Boston and she immediately falls in love with the city because up until this point she'd only lived in kind of like small towns in Maine, you know, and she was like, oh my gosh, gaslights, fashion, stuff's happening, street food, whatever.
Hit me.
Yes, her stars in her eyes. So as soon as she goes back home to Maine, she tells her husband that she wants to get the fuck out of Maine and move to Boston. Now, it seems a little bit unclear whether or not James went with Maria to Boston or not, or if she went by herself. But either way, she ends up in Boston staying at a boarding house where she meets a young man and immediately becomes smitten with this guy. And she officially leaves James at this point and runs off with this guy to Newburyport, Massachusetts in October of that year.
Okay.
So James, I mean, look, she got married at 16. She's 19. Like you said, people have always been people. So even though people got married at 16 or whatever, she's still a teenage
You're
girl
still 16.
who's only ever been with one man in a small city or a small town. And now she's in a big city. Right? It makes sense. Anyway, James was heartbroken and later went on to basically blame this guy for Maria's downfall, saying that she was, quote, one of the most virtuous of her sex before this man, quote, drew her into a whirlpool of vice.
Oh.
So,
Ugh.
Whirlpool
and,
of Vice sounds nice.
Yeah, ooh, that sounds exciting. I mean, you got to put some responsibility on Maria, but like I said,
No, women don't make thoughts and decisions by themselves. He was all him.
it's all him. You get married at 16, you're bound to make mistakes will be made. So not
Whirlpool
long,
of Vice.
ooh, not long after they ran away together, this guy abandons Maria, and so she turns to sex work to survive. So she starts working in brothels, first in Boston and then in New Bedford, and it's here where she meets a man named Albert Terrell. So Albert Terrell was married and had a couple of kids at this time, and I think he was only like 22, so also pretty young. But he became hopelessly infatuated with Maria Bickford, and he was the son of a prominent shoe manufacturer who had also served 12 years in the Massachusetts state legislature. So a politician's son, big businessman. I don't know what her deal is with men in the shoe industry, but her husband was a shoemaker. So I don't know. Anyway,
Hey, always have nice shoes. So.
we have a type. So when Albert's daddy died, he left him $8,000, which anybody want to take a guess at today's money?
$2 million.
634,000.
It's not as much as I was thinking. I was thinking something along those lines. But it is about $300,000,
Okay.
which is still a good chunk of change. So within a year and a half of meeting Maria, he had squandered almost his entire inheritance on things for her, basically. He bought her whatever she wanted. They rented a house and they furnished a house in Boston that Maria also ran as a boarding house under the name Maria Welsh. And they were together constantly. They traveled together. They stayed in the best hotels as man and wife, changing their names wherever they moved, and conducted a really kind of like volatile, in quotes, passionate relationship. Maria once told a fellow boarder that she enjoyed quarreling with Tyrrell because they had, quote, such a good time making up.
Oh, hey.
So, like, I'm poking fights just for the makeup sex.
She's like, sometimes I'm bad on purpose.
Oh, God. However, things began to get worse when Mary refused to stop working as a sex worker. This infuriated Albert. He was like, you don't have to do this anymore. And she's like, I want to. She wanted to make her own money. I get it. So during this time, Maria wrote to her husband in Maine that Albert Tyrrell was abusing her and she wanted to get away from him, which I feel like is a bold move. I mean, she is technically still married to this guy, but I'm like, you're writing your husband about your side, dude. Like, yeah, okay.
Right. He's literally spent like $300,000 on you.
Yeah. So after a fight with Maria in June of 1845, he kicks her out of their house there in Boston. And it's not long after that that he's arrested for adultery and lascivious cohabitation. Oh. And when they went to arrest him, he actually like went on the run. Like he was like, not gonna get me or whatever. And his family members, including his wife, all kind of petitioned the judge to like let him out. Like they were like, give him a second chance. He can be rehabilitated or whatever. In October of 1845, Maria was living in some articles it says like a disreputable boarding house, but some actively call it a brothel.
This
Maybe
is giving
something
me
in
harlot
between
vibes, like big
yeah,
time.
hardcore,
and I was
hardcore.
just watching Harlots, and so this is making me so happy.
It's so funny because it's giving me, I'm reading a book called The Five, and it's by the woman who wrote the book that Harlots is based off of.
Oh,
really?
And it's good. It basically dives into the lives of the 5 women that Jack the Ripper killed.
Oh, yeah, wow. Yeah. That sounds so good.
And it's nonfiction. It's not a novel. It's nonfiction. And she goes deep into like Victorian London and what life was like and how fucking awful it was. So I was thinking that as well, because in that book, she talks about these like boarding houses that aren't brothels, but they're basically like pay by the hour hotels. So they're used oftentimes as brothels. And that's probably what this was that Maria Bickford was staying in, something akin to that in Boston. So she's staying there, and on October 26th, Albert Tyrrell gets out on bail and immediately goes to visit Maria Bickford at the boarding house. The owners of the house, Joel Lawrence and his wife, saw Maria and Albert arguing that day. And around 5 a.m. the next morning, the Lawrences heard a scream and a thud coming from upstairs. And then they heard someone rushing down the stairs and out the door. So they go to investigate. They go upstairs, and they find Maria Bickford on the floor with her throat cut. Her windpipe and jugular vein were severed. So in every account you read, the brutality is something that
That's
really
a deep cut.
Yeah, she's almost decapitated, basically.
Oh my
Holy
God.
shit.
Yeah.
I've been watching a lot of CSI.
Yeah, you're like, wow.
Practically an expert on this
The
subject.
jugular. The bed she was on had been set on fire, and her face and hair were burned. The walls were splattered with blood, and there was a bloody razor found at the foot of the bed. And there were some articles of men's clothing in the room, along with a letter initialed AJT to MAB. So, Albert Tyrrell, Marianne Bickford.
Yeah.
About 5:30 that morning, Albert Tyrrell goes to a nearby stable and requests a horse to take him to Weymouth, or Weymouth. I don't want people in Boston to be mad at me.
It's Weymouth.
Right?
Yeah.
Weymouth. And he explained that he, quote, had got into a little difficulty and wanted to go to his wife's father. Also feels like a bold move after you murder your mistress. You're like, I'm going to go to my father-in-law's house. So he travels through
Carl
Vermont.
Young would not play that.
He travels through Vermont and up into Canada. And in Montreal, he writes to his family and he's like, hey, getting the fuck out of Dodge, going to Liverpool. So he gets on a boat headed to England, but they have to turn back because of bad weather. So bad luck for Albert.
Yeah.
He's like on the boat. He's like halfway there.
Like, I'm almost there.
Everybody's like, oh, the weather's so bad. I think we have to turn around. And Albert's like, no, I think we can make it. We should just keep going. So they go back to New York City, and then he books passage on a boat for New Orleans. So he gets to New Orleans, and it is in Louisiana, there in New Orleans, that he is arrested on December 5th. They track him down, right? There's this manhunt for months to find this motherfucker.
That's actually pretty impressive.
It is.
I was just thinking that.
Yeah, to do a catch me if you can situation in 1845.
Yeah, because usually I feel like when I hear 1845, I feel like that's still the time period where you can move to the next town and have a whole new family and no one else. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
Totally.
But I think it was because this story got so many headlines in Victorian Boston.
Which is really what's so surprising, because you wouldn't think it would get that amount of headlines, because we've talked about it on the podcast before that, like, quote unquote fallen women, it's not
exactly.
Well, I think it had less to do with who she was and more to do with who he was, because his family was kind of prominent. And they had carried on a relationship that was so out in the open and brazen that I think that they had been the subject of like social conversation before. So maybe, and then the viciousness of her murder, I think it was those things, and the fact that he absconded and went on the run immediately after drew a lot of interest. And so in the beginning, the public actually sided with Maria because Albert, you know, they knew what kind of man he was. He was out on bail for adultery at the time. And there were witnesses who saw him enter and leave the brothel that night, or the boarding house. But by the time the trial began in March of 1846, the public opinion had changed completely. They now regarded Maria as an evil seductress who took advantage of poor Albie. You know, boys would be boys situation. Yeah. Yeah. How could he, you know,
been around?
He can't be blamed for this.
Forever, since the beginning of time.
Yep.
Adam and Eve.
Yep.
There's a crazy in love for you. Circumstantial evidence against Albert was really strong, but when Terrell's family hired a high-powered defense team led by a really famous, like in a lot of these articles, he's kind of called like the Johnny Cochran of this time period. He was a former U.S. Senator named Rufus Choate, and it became really, I see you both giggling right now. Like,
you said Choate. Just so close to Choate.
And it became obvious it wasn't going to be about the facts. Like, the fact that they had no witnesses, and it was all circumstantial. Choate was sitting there just rubbing his pale little hands together.
Sure he was.
So the prosecution presented testimony from the Lawrences and other residents of the boarding house. And they all testified that Terrell had been there, that he'd spent the night with Maria Bickford and left her room, you know, and that some people outside of the boarding house saw him leave the boarding house that morning. The defense questioned witnesses who they basically did the thing you would expect. They tried to tarnish the reputation and credibility of not only Maria, but also the Lawrences and the boarders, because they lived in a rundown, basically a brothel boarding house. And so it was easy.
Sprinkle a little classism.
100%. They're like,
perfect.
You can't trust them. And so a lot of the testimony was disallowed as hearsay, but it's had already made an impact on the jury. Like, you know how that we've seen that trick in Law and Order many times. You just make sure it gets said.
Disregard what they just said. Okay.
Yeah, I'll just delete that from my brain then. Not how it works. They also brought in witnesses who knew Albert Tyrrell and swore he was a good, upstanding man before becoming infatuated with that harlot, Maria Bickford. So it's her fault.
Harlots.
Choate. Okay, I was waiting. Choate and fellow defense attorney Annis Merrill, they offered alternative scenarios to Bickford's death. Yes.
Choate and Annis.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure we're all on the same page.
Yes.
Totally missed that.
Look, it was old timey. Names were different back then. Oh, God. Okay. So they offered a few different scenarios as to what had happened. First, that she had killed herself. They continually echoed the testimony of the coroner, who stated that suicide was, quote, the natural death of the prostitute.
Okay. Wait. Time out.
Not my words. The coroner's words from 1845.
She severed her own carotid.
And then lit the fire.
And windpipe.
Mm-hmm.
And then, okay,
Mm-hmm.
cool.
Well,
cool.
I'm assuming they are saying she lit the fire first and then cut her own throat for reasons we don't. Why would you light the fire? Okay,
Yeah.
I don't know.
And she's strong enough to cut her entire head off.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yes,
no.
but Cassie, it's the natural death,
Naturally.
of course. So the case closed.
Show
Um,
nanas.
The second thing that they said was that someone else had killed her. We don't know. A fireman had testified that Joel Lawrence, who was the owner of the boarding house, had tried to keep him out of Maria's room. And so they were like, maybe he did it. Is he trying to hide something? Maybe his wife is lying when she says that he was with her all night. And finally, they introduced, this was their third thing their third scenario. They introduced numerous witnesses who knew that Albert Tyrrell had suffered from somnambulism all his life. So this is what this case is known for. If you've ever heard of this case before, this is why. Somnambulism is sleepwalking.
Thank God.
Sleepwalking.
Okay.
So one by one, his family and friends recounted strange ways that he had behaved growing up. They said that he began sleepwalking at the age of 6 and that the sleepwalking spells increased in frequency and severity as he got older. At one point, he forcibly grabbed his brother while in his sleep. He pulled down curtains. He smashed windows. He yanked his cousin out of the bed while brandishing a knife. And while in this state, he was known to speak with a shrill, trembling voice. And their testimony was then corroborated by Walter Channing, who was the dean of Harvard Medical School at the time, who testified that a person with a somnambulistic state, could conceivably get up at night, get dressed, commit a murder, set a fire, and make an escape.
So what my book presupposes is that he didn't do it, but maybe he did. And if he did, it's because he slept
Yes. Yeah, I love that that's the case. They're like, look, we're just going to throw everything at you. We're going to say, she did it herself. Or maybe she didn't do it herself. But if she didn't do it herself, it was definitely not Albert Tyrrell. And if it was Albert Tyrrell, it was
Here's
because
why.
he was sleeping.
Wow.
Yes. So that is what they said. They said if Albert Tyrrell killed Maria Bickford, it was surely while sleepwalking and he was not responsible for his actions.
One more question here.
Mm-hmm.
sleepwalking. You don't normally remember what you done.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you go on the run?
I don't
if
know.
you truly believed that you were innocent.
Woke up covered in blood.
Decided to get the fuck out of Dodge.
Yeah, I guess I better leave town. I don't know, Cassie.
Except it sounds
does
like
beg
he's
the
just
question.
a psycho.
Yeah, no, totally. It's just a psycho.
So on March 27th, Rufus Choate gave his closing arguments before the courtroom. He told the jury that he did not intend to take up much of their time, and then talked for 5 hours straight before breaking for dinner. Sir. And then they got back from dinner, and he talked for another hour. 6.
Look, no.
I'll convict your client based solely on that. I'm tired.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Jesus.
How much trouble do you get into if you fall asleep?
Oh my God.
Well, on the train.
I mean, I guess they didn't have TV back then, so maybe this was like their podcast. They're like, this is fine. On Saturday, March 28th, the judge then spoke for an hour and a half to the jury. And he was pretty favorable towards Albert in talking to the jury. Like, he's like, I can't tell you what to do, but
But you guys know this guy's innocent, right?
Yeah,
sleepwalking.
He spent a lot of his time talking about Maria's, quote, depraved character, and also referred to somnambulism as a form of insanity to the jury. I'm like, I feel like you shouldn't be allowed to do that. So the jury retired and they deliberated for 2 hours, and they came back with a verdict of not guilty. The entire courtroom,
surprising.
yeah, and the courtroom, the public opinion was so in favor of Albert Tyrrell at this point that the courtroom shook with a, quote, roof-shaking hurrah, and spectators broke into applause. Terrible. Albert Tyrrell did also have to stand trial for arson, which was a capital crime in 1846, and using basically the same argument that if he was sleepwalking whenever he killed Maria, he was sleepwalking when he lit the fire, and he was acquitted of that charge as well. Tyrrell, being a cheap bastard, tried to get half of his legal fees refunded from Choate's team, stating that his innocence had been obvious from the start. Like, basically, like, you didn't even have to work that hard to get me off, so I want half my money back.
Wow.
Choate's team's like, you can go fuck yourself.
Yeah, he's like, I didn't speak for 6 hours in a row for nothing. He pleaded no contest. Tyrrell pleaded no contest to the charges of adultery and lascivious cohabitation, but the judge didn't end up dismissing the charges, so he was sentenced to 3 years hard labor in state prison. So he got 3 years in prison for adultery and nothing for murder.
For murder.
Wow.
And these acquittals were the first in the history of American law that sleepwalking was used successfully as a defense. And it's still taught in law schools today.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
that's it. That's the whole thing.
I don't know what to do with that information. It does remind me of that movie Sleepwalk with Me. And it does make me wonder, like, I guess you really can do crazy things.
Well, there have been, I think there have been cases since then where it was successfully proven.
That Chantix case
Mm-hmm.
where that person that was taking that stop smoking medicine
Mm-hmm.
went over and murdered their neighbor in their sleep.
Oh, my God.
And that was
crazy.
like, I need to look more into that because I don't know if that's one of those hot coffee cases. Do you know what I'm talking about? Where you think you know the narrative of it, and then you look into it, and you're like, "Oh shit, that wasn't what it is at all."
I feel like Criminal maybe did an episode on that, or there was this. Oh no, it was the first episode. No, what am I saying? Stuff You Should Know did an episode on sleepwalking, and I heard about this case, the Albert Tyrrell case, on that episode, and I think they talked about that one as well. And I do think in that one, of course, there's still speculation, but I do think it's widely agreed that it really was like the Chantix. Like he really was like,
oh shit.
Yeah, well, we
like
know
out.
Cassie. I think our friend Aaron was on Chantix for a minute and said it was really really fucked with his dreams and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I did Chantix for a brief time, and it didn't do anything to me. What I've heard, though, and this is, through all my deep research of none and not a scientist here, but what I've heard through the grapevine is that it affects men way more than it does women. Like I took it and it didn't help me. It didn't hurt me. It didn't do anything. I didn't even,
Anthony was on the patch.
I might as well been taking
and had for smoking and had wild dreams. Wild.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, I mean, I do think it does do something to your sleep, but Albert Tyrrell didn't have that defense. There was no
Chantix.
It's just
no
kind
Chantix
of
for your antics.
amazing that I mean it is amazing, and it's not amazing because of the way that we view women, and especially the way that we view sex workers, especially in that period of time. I guess we shouldn't really be all that surprised.
Well, no, we
that
shouldn't.
he
That's the reason why I
got
was
off.
telling you guys about Promising Young Woman, where it's like
I can't wait to
nothing
watch
has
that.
changed. It's still victim blamey, and like, well, you put yourself in that position, or like you shouldn't have been drinking so much, and all of that fucking shit. Like,
Right, because it makes me wonder if the jury really thought that Albert Tyrrell was sleepwalking, or if they were just like, if they just felt sympathy for him because they were like, well, she's a woman of ill repute who dragged you down,
yep,
and it's her fault.
yep,
Yeah.
ugh, and it's just terrible because that's like old timey times, and we can go back further and find more examples of that, and then find it in everyday life today, and it's just makes me want to.
That's why,
burn the
honestly, we'll never
patriarchy.
run out of content on this. Because honestly, we just will never run out of content.
Sadly.
Like, people do, like, well, that's the thing. Why do people murder? And love is just going to be always one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Because emotions and feelings, and it's as strong and powerful as money, as sex, money, drugs. It's just,
And oftentimes those things are all wrapped up together. Like I would say in this situation, it was probably money. It was probably, I mean, Albert Tyrrell had just gotten out of jail for having like cohabitated with Maria. He'd spent a lot of his money on Maria. These are all choices he made and he should be responsible for, but I could see all of that stuff boiling over, with jealousy and love or whatever else,
Yeah, I also want to read that book that you were talking about.
Oh, the Five?
That
Oh,
sounds
yes.
so good.
It's
I'm
good
gonna
so
get
far.
it
I will
immediately,
lend
if not
it
sooner.
Yeah. It's on Amazon.
Yeah, I'm gonna get it. That sounds so good.
that sounds delightful.
I mean, it's depressing as fuck, but it is great to see it. I've never seen anything from the perspective of the victims of Jack the Ripper ever.
Right.
So, yeah.
Well, and I'm just kind of on that kick right now. Like I said, I've been watching Harlots, watched Bridgerton, which
Oh, girl.
I got all the feelings
Love
about.
it. I know.
Love it and also hate it simultaneously. I'm not trying to spoil it because it did just come out. I love that kind of content. I feel like there should be so much more than there is. I will always binge a really good period piece no matter what. And there's a gaping hole in my heart where Downton Abbey used to be.
Oh, same.
And I need more of that. So to the powers that
loved
be, make way more of those shows. I'll always watch it. So
The girl who plays, I've only seen the first episode, and so far, I love it. Can we please talk about the string version of Thank You Next that plays when they go to the ball?
Oh,
Hilarious.
So
Um,
good.
But I love the girl who plays Penelope. Her name is like Nicola something.
Yeah.
She's in Dairy Girls.
Dairy Girls,
She's
yeah.
so freaking cute. I love her so much.
her.
The guy who plays the Duke, smoking hot.
where
Jesus,
has
God.
he been all my life?
I'd recognized
Okay.
him because I watched a show like For the People that ran on ABC for like one season, and he was in it. He's the type of good looking that makes you like mad.
I couldn't talk to him in real life.
Yeah, like
You know what I mean? Like, if I ended up accidentally on a date with him somehow, I wouldn't be able to speak words.
you know how like when you see something that's so cute that you want to bite it.
Yeah.
Like,
yes.
he is so cute that I want to punch him in the face.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you know,
His
like,
cuteness incites violence.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
yeah, I wouldn't do it,
Yeah.
but I think about it.
Smoking hot, dude. Wait till you get to the sex
Oh, fuck.
episode. The sex episode? Whoa.
You guys, I can't get there fast
Whoa.
enough.
You really can't.
Yeah, you really can't
hot.
because I have so much to say. I have so
There's a lot to
much
say about it.
to say.
Okay, so but before you say, because there are some things that you have to say, but there's also like that episode, their fucking chemistry is palpable.
Yeah, they have good chemistry.
But that yeet and shit, he's like, yeet. All right, we'll get there. We're not there yet.
Yeah, but so I've been watching that, and then like I told you, I think earlier that my New Year's Eve was spent watching Ink Master for some reason. I've already seen like I think a lot of the seasons, but
I
there's
really want
something
to
about
see what
watching-
Netflix recommends for you at this
Oh, I
point,
know.
because I feel like you have watched some of the weirdest content. Like,
I'm all over the place. But there's something about like watching. I get it for me when you're watching people that are really good at something, like Great British Baking Show. You're watching people that are good at
Repair
baking,
Shop.
and then you start watching it enough that then you start critiquing them on something you can't fucking do. I can't make a fucking
Right.
jelly roll. I can't tattoo a portrait on somebody, but I'm going to sit there and be like, that line work looks like shit. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yes.
that's how I am with like dancing shows. I'm like, no, they're not.
that-
They're
you're calling
they look
that
a
a
little
relevant?
stiff.
So I don't know if it's just like me just sitting on the couch wanting to feel like an expert for something I have absolutely no reason to feel
oh my
that
God,
way.
is this why I signed up for college?
Yeah.
Because I was like, I literally said to Chris though, I said, do I really need something that's going to help me be more actually in life? Because like that's how I feel already. I'm like, well, actually, the Renoir did, you know, like,
But you'll have the creds to back it up, so it's fine.
Yeah.
Um,
What
so
about
the-
you guys? What are you watching?
The only other thing that I've been watching outside of, I told you I watched Death to 2020 and Star Wars. Last night, I watched Death Becomes Her. I had
love
never
that
seen it.
oh,
You've never
haven't?
seen it?
Oh my God, it is
yeah.
awesome. It is.
I love
I
that
gotta know.
movie.
I was gonna say I'm dying to know how a first time viewer sees this
Oh,
because
I
I just
loved
watched it again
it.
recently.
Like,
It's
listen,
great.
it's campy, okay? It's
It
got
is.
1992 CGI. That's like a little silly. But at the end of the day, it's fucking Meryl Streep, Goldie
Yeah.
Hawn, Bruce Willis looking goofy as hell.
Yep.
Like,
As hell.
oh, it's great. Isabella Rossellini is the hottest she's ever been in this movie.
Ever.
Like, it was fun. It was just fun, campy. Like, if you are looking for something to just like make you laugh and take your mind off of reality, go for it.
That's where to go. Yeah. Oh, that's a good one. Do you know,
That's a good
I
one.
actually told Eric about the movie that you were talking about last time we recorded. What was it? Stepfather or something?
Oh
And he's
my
like-
God.
He's like, oh yeah, that movie's crazy.
He's seen it.
Seen everything.
How?
I
Like,
know.
This movie, I swear to God, it was like the most obscure thing. I only watched it because it like popped up on my HBO Max, and I was like, yeah, okay. I will make you guys watch it so we can talk about
No.
it. Because why? It is so 1980s, trying to be serious. Looks like maybe it was on Lifetime in like 1987. Like,
I
oh,
I love it.
fantastic.
I'm here for it.
Oh no. Well, besides Bridgerton, I've completely binged all of Bridgerton. It was so fucking good. I loved it. I as well had that gaping spot from, period things, which I'm not like, it's not one of those things where I'm like every period thing I must watch. It's just like I like to have a little piece of it in my life as a normal flow. Like just it's perfect. What else have I watched? I watched been still binging CSI. I'm watching okay. I've watched a lot of Nazi art restitution shows, like, or, you know, like shows about like Nazi plunder. And that's kind of where I've been. So like
them trying to find all the art that was stolen.
That he stole.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. So I've been watching a lot of those kinds of shows lately because I'm that kind of nerd.
Yeah. No, I love it. I love it. There's still like a lot missing. A lot of I'm sure there's like fucking billion-dollar paintings on some like house in Bavaria. You know, you're just like, okay,
that's exactly right. Or in Argentina.
That's what I was gonna say. Is somebody's gonna die in Argentina, and they're gonna be like, "Oh, better go clear out Grandpa's things." Just an attic full of like
here's a
Renoirs.
Fabergé eggs.
Yes.
Like shit.
Crazy. Well, if you guys have shows we should watch, if you have stories to tell, apparently Keegan's looking for stuff that's stuck in places.
I mean, I was never not looking for that. Always have been looking for that. Also,
it's been a lonely year.
Sticking things into things. I want to know. Like, I want to know what's the weirdest thing.
Yes, go to our one-stop shop of a website. It's myworstdatepodcast.com. And we love you so much.
Cheers.